Hey YouTube, Electric Adventures here with the next episode in my series Electric Adventures The Games, where I'm going through each of my original games from back in the day. Now the next pack, we're up to Program Pack 6, and as you can see it's got 3 games on it, and the first one, once again not very original, is called Demon Attack. So I've got it up here and let's run it. So, as usual, just a bit of a title screen while it loads the sprites. Then we draw our level and press trigger to begin. So I'll use the keyboard. Bit of sound. And the demons come in, forming from 2 parts. Just like the original Demon Attack. Their fire is fairly random, as are their movements. And only the lower one shoots. Oh, missed him. Okay. End of a level. Bonus. No, I didn't time that right. So, well, got me. And as you can see, we've got little life counters down the bottom there as well. No, too soon. Ooh, there we go. Oh, and an extra life, make an extra life beep. Now they're moving a lot faster. There you go. Oh. Still managed to stay alive. It's getting harder to hit them. Oh, there we go, got to level 4. And an extra life again. Oops. So I really like this one because it has, a lot of things happening, action. The enemies are coming on with their special intro pattern and sounds. And in general, I like, a better use of sound and everything like that. The actual reaction of the main ship is quite responsive and fast, which is probably a good thing. just missed me. Oh, made it to level 5. Yeah, definitely getting faster all the time here now. Ooh, extra life. Oh, got me. Yes, I used to love Demon Attack on the Atari 2600, so once again, you know, this is where I obviously got the idea for this game. I wanted to be able to play it on my Spectravideo. Oh, got me. Oh, still going. Oh, now I'm dead. Well, there we go. So, not a bad playable game with a lot going on. Alright, hang on a sec. I'll get set up, ready to go, and I'm going to have a look at the source code. Alright, so here we are back looking at the source code. So, let's see how long it is first. Not bad, 41 lines long. I didn't think it'd be too long. So let's have a look at the start. So a fair bit in those first few lines. So line 10, notice there's a beep there. That actually resets, it was the quick way to reset the sound. Sound just by playing a beep. And we set up our random number, open our handle to our graphics, so we put text on there. Line 20 we set our colours, our screen mode. We make most of the variables integers. Actually they're all integers, I just noticed that. Yeah, anyway. Line 30, restore to the start of our data statements down the bottom, clear the screen, set our cursor point, colour, and then print Demon Attack, draw a box around it. And then we read in our sprites, and there's actually only 5 sprite shapes. In other words, the left and right of the demon, the fire, our ship, and the laser. So there's actually only 5 sprite shapes. Once we finish loading those, line 40, clear the screen again, and we use V-poke to quickly go and erase all the sprites from the screen. And also put, at the same time, 30 random dots on the screen, and there are our stars in the background. And then we put our level, score, high score up on the screen, and at line 50 we go and put our press trigger to begin. So fairly simple so far. Line 60 we're waiting for either the keyboard or the first joystick button to be pressed. Otherwise we set up our variables for the start of our game. We call a couple of subroutines there which probably display the score, the lives, and things like that. We draw a line, it looks like a box down the bottom, so that's our horizon line. Line 70, set up a few more variables, put our main ship sprite, set up our on-sprite routine, so that's when 2 sprites hit each other. And we do our opening sound, so we've got 2 inner loops there, and doing a couple of complex sounds. Notice nothing else can go on while we're doing that sound, but it doesn't take long to execute. Line 80, we turn our sprite to collision detection on, get our joystick direction. If it's to the right, we move to the right, and we're not too far, we move to the right, and we move 8 pixels at a time, and we use V-poke to only change the X coordinate, which is the fast way of doing that. Line 90, I'm not sure what this TT is doing, we'll have a look later, but if A equals 7, that's pointing to the left. So we move to the left if we're not already too far to the left, and we use the V poke to update the X coordinate again. Ooh, only just fit. So line 100 is where we detect whether the trigger has been pressed, and our BB is whether or not we have a bullet on screen already. Then we set it to be on screen. We set how far down the screen it is the nose of the ship. We put the sprite on the screen in that spot. And we play a little zap sound. That's our zap sound. Line 110. So if the bullet BB is 1, that means there's a bullet on the screen. Then we go and change our Y coordinate of the bullet. And remember, we didn't bother saving the X because the X is actually stored in the sprite. If we're only going to change the Y, we don't need to remember it. We see whether we've gone off the top of the screen. Otherwise, and then we rub it from the screen, which is the V poke 209, so that rubs the sprite. BB equals 0 means we're bullets available for it. Else, we V poke the Y coordinate of the bullet, and it just moves it. So that, as I said, by only changing one piece of data for each sprite at a time using V poke, it makes things a lot faster. Line 120 turns sprite off. Obviously, we don't want any collision detection to happen at this moment in time. For A equals 1 to 2, that's probably the two enemies. We look at we've got an array, TA, and that's probably our two enemy state variables. So if they're 0, they're not on the screen. So if our random function of picking a number between 1 and 5 is 1, and K, that's probably another counter of how long since one's been on the screen, then we go and randomly put the enemy on the screen. And I'm just having a look at that calculation. So the Y is based on which enemy it is. So it's 50 times the position they are. So they're in blocks of 50 here and here up the screen with a little gap in between. We put the sprite on the screen, the left part of it, put the right hand side of it, and we make it in mode 1, which is obviously coming in from the side mode. Not sure what C is, that's okay. And we start a sound playing. Go to 170, else 170, so we skip to 170 at this stage. Line 130, we are in the mode we just set, and then, okay, so CA equals CA1, this is probably to increment our sound as it comes in. That's what the CA is for, so we use the sound, so sound 2, that's the second sound buffer, or sound channel, and we're using whatever is in CA times 8, so that will give an increasing sound. We V-poke the new position of the left and the right hand side of the demon, and okay, and when our CA equals 14, then we're in mode 2, and we'll go sub 340, we'll have to look up that. And we get another random number between 1 and 2 in DA, else we go to 170, line 140, we go and peek and get the current position of the enemy, and then this is our D variable we set up before. Just trying to figure out what that's doing. So it's based on the level. It's probably, this is the random movement. D equals 1. So okay, so direction, D must be for direction. So 1 obviously means right, and 0 probably means left. And it basically moves the ship left or right if we're in that mode. Okay, line 160. If our random number, we get a random number between 1 and 10. If it's 1. And if our direction is going to the right, then our direction, so this is randomly changes to the other direction. And 170 is the end of our loop of aliens, that's why they're all going to 170, so next we'll go around and do the next alien. Then, I'm not sure about BC, T was our, I can't remember what T was up further, and another random number is larger than 6, then, oh, this is probably our fire. This is shooting at us. So B, C would be bullet. I don't know why I would use C, but anyway, yeah, that puts the bullet spray that's coming down on the screen. Line 180, obviously BC equals 1, we have a bullet on screen. Then we get the next position down. If it's larger than 170, it's already reached the bottom, and we get rid of it. Otherwise, we move it down. So it's all very efficient so far. And line 190 is the end of our main loop, so we go back to the start. So 200 is the first of our subroutines, and that quite simply puts the score on the screen and checks to see whether we've gone over our extra man. We get an extra man every 5,000 points there. And if we have gone over extra man, then we increase extra man and we increase our lives. And if that didn't happen, we return straight away. So line 210 plays our bonus doot 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 sound for getting an extra life. And line 220 actually puts that life on screen. So it puts the little, you can see the actual character in the text there. So it's using one of the inbuilt graphics characters to print the lives along the bottom there. Oops. Can't type. So more subroutines. So line 230 looks like it blanks out and then prints the level we have. Line 240 is probably our sprite routine. So when two sprites have collided, we stop one of the sounds. We see whether the bullets, if the bullet's not on screen, then we go to 260, because it could be the enemy bullets hitting us. Else we check to see whether the bullets hit the one of the enemy, and we handle that and go to the next. We go to the next if we end up at line 260 anyway, and that's where if the alien bullet's on the screen, we see whether it's actually hit our player. So line 270 is where it jumps to next. Yeah, 270 returns from the subroutine before. So line 280 is another subroutine. This is called obviously when we've hit an alien before to increase the score by 100 points. Goes up to 200 to display it. Removes the player's bullet from the screen and removes the actual whichever alien it was we hit from the screen. Not sure what Keiko has then. Oh, that's probably our delay correction before that, so they don't pop back on the screen immediately, so there's a bit of a delay there. Line 290, this is where we go when we lose a life, so it's decreasing our lives, displaying them on the screen, getting rid of the player ship and playing a sound and then putting the player ship back. If our lives are larger than 0, then we go back and keep playing, otherwise 300 we set some colours and put game over on the screen. And then we wait for a little while and then we go back to 30. In other words, we reset the game. So line 320 to 360, another subroutine. So line 320, that erases our sprites off the screen by the looks of it. Although it's got a bit of a delay loop in there and some sounds. And our level goes up. Oh, so this is what happens when we reach the end of the level. So that's the ship flying up to the top of the screen while sound's being played. And yeah, it calculates our bonus based on how quickly we got through the level and puts the bonus up on the screen. And with another delay after that, then rumps that out of the way. Not sure what line 340 is doing, but, and then line 350 is clearing some sounds, and then we return. Oops, sorry, my yeah, I've accidentally. Right, and then we have our data. So as I said, there's only 5 sprites, so there's not a lot of not a lot of data, and that's the end of our program. So yet another example of how much you can do with a very little amount of code, and actually quite a good fun game as well. So feel free to download the source code. I'll have a link to my website which has a little article on the game and a link where you can download the source code. If you want to download it, you can play it in an MSX emulator or actually play it on a real MSX. Yeah, enjoying the series. I hope everybody out there is enjoying them as well. So I'm Electric Adventures. Thanks to all our subscribers. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.
Bye.